Yeah, Marketplace got the best of us. I'd say the 700 got a sleeper cab. This time on the channel, it's too windy to film, too cold to film. But we're gonna take a look at the shed. I picked up the shed a little while ago. Just a Marketplace find, very close to the house. It was for free, so it was kind of a challenge to see if I could pick it up in the first place, and we were able to winch it up onto the truck. Really without too much difficulty, but a little bit of damage in the process, but the damage was there to begin with some rot. This will be a whole series on the channel for what this will become anyway. Alright, so here it is. Nothing special. I want to keep Vader out because I want to get it swept out. I think there might be some glass in here I saw before. But it's kind of neat. I think it's a good starting point. It has these little shelves here in the corner. Jar storage up there. But overall, it's a pretty typical shed. It's definitely an old build, though. Might find out a little bit more about the age as I take it apart. But we are going to take it apart a little bit to repair this side. This needs to be reattached. There wasn't much engagement there, so I'm not really concerned about that. That was not a surprise. It came off. Plus, it's at the doorway, so the door wasn't helping hold it together like the other sides. But overall, it has like this siding on that's kind of crappy. I'm going to peel that off this weekend. But overall, the roof seemed to be good and everything, so it'll be a good starting point. This doesn't quite work. I don't know what they were thinking here. This thing turns and this doesn't hook onto it, but it'll probably get a hold of the door. All right, Vader. But I tell you, I had a heck of a time. I went on the other direction. I had to turn it around the other day, spin it around 360 degrees, and that was kind of a chore in itself, but it was kind of fun. You do a lot with that winch and snatch block, but the idea with this eventually is that it's going to be easier to offload and load. So that might give away a little bit of what we want to do, but it's going to be easy to get off the truck and get back on the truck. It's not going to be just a shed. But other than that, the truck did pretty good hauling that. It's definitely lighter than the Ranger, but I'm not sure how heavy it is. And yeah, I know it's hanging off one side. I'll slide it back over probably tomorrow. Alright, so today's agenda is pretty simple. We just need to get the shed off the truck, and what we have to do is just put a floor under it. The floor is no longer under the shed. The old floor is gone, so we want to put a new floor under it, just using some of the materials I already had. It had some 4x4s and 2x4s that were actually given to me. So you'll see as it comes together what that's all about, but just use some pretty basic materials that we already had, some pretty basic tools. We're going to get a floor built and then get the shed off the truck. I don't know if it's all going to happen today, but we're at least going to get the pieces cut that we need so we can put the shed floor together tomorrow, right? At least that's what we want to be able to do. But I'll set you up, and we'll fly through this, but we'll be prepping some of these pieces of wood, taking some of the brackets off, and then getting to cutting the pieces to length and starting to clean up some things under the truck or on top of the truck, and getting the shed squared up to start framing out a floor. All right. Alright, I just wanted to show, we just got back from Ace, and I picked up a T25 Torx bit, because I've done all I can do with the Phillips. Been taking apart these brackets, and taking these brackets off, and most of them are Phillips screws, but then some of them are Torx. So, new bit for the old drill, and we'll be able to finish taking these off. I'm not going to save all of them, but I'm going to save as many as I can. Alright, these pieces here. And like I said, not all of them are good. I'm not going to keep them all, but I'm going to keep most of them. Have them on both sides. and then have them over on the stack over there. But not keeping them all, but I'm going to try to keep as many as I can. Alright, Vader, wait. Get your toy. I'm going to start taking these. Get your toy. Alright, so now we're going to clean this up. Remember, we got the floor out from under it a couple weeks ago now. And I'm going to start by cleaning all this crap up that's underneath here. Getting it all cleaned up and thrown in the trash. I do think there's still screws and stuff mixed in with this. And then I'm going to clean it up, put a box around the bottom here, kind of framing in the outside and the inside before I put the two runners underneath it. I'm going to use these 4x4s. These here are going to go underneath and be the main joists for sliding it up the truck, right? So for it to come up the truck ramps. Otherwise, it will have more traditional floor joists in it. And I'm actually lowering it a little bit. But here we go. I'm going to clean it up and start framing the floor. Alright, now we're inside. We got Vader in here now that it's swept up. There shouldn't be any nails or any glass or anything like that in here. But now we're going to set up, trying to frame this out again so it's strong and can be offloaded. Right now it's tied together by the roof structure, which is pretty good. And it's actually pretty sturdy the way that it is, even though there's no floor. There's nothing tying the bottom of this together. We're going to try to start that process right now. We have the two 4x4s here, or technically two 4x4s that are glued together, but two 4x4s and then the 2x4s laying over here is the bulk of what will be used. We have more material, but we're going to start with this material. I'll have to figure out a good place to put you in here. It's the first time we filmed inside. I can't hold the camera. You're on a tripod. You got to be up on a shelf in here. It's small. This is only like a 7x7 square, but you'll see it take shape. It should turn into something pretty shortly, and I think it'll be pretty cool. Alright, we're going to fix up the shed here a little bit. We're going to try to clean up this wall here, at least from this board over. These are okay, but these here need to be fixed up, especially down in here. Alright, Vader, let's get the saws on. Alright. Where'd you go, Vader? Alright. Alright, so the idea here is that I'm going to end up expanding this part of the shed. So this kind of became natural, but since this is structural right here, I can cap this off and then create an opening or a door here for something I had planned down the road. But now we're good again. I'm going to tie the rest of this wall into the floor. I couldn't do this before because it was up on the truck, and this was against the bulkhead, so I couldn't get to any of it. All right, then. All right. Good stuff.